Amon can literally face tank bosses while you focus fire them, and his kit melts and debuffs all adds in the room. With this build, you turn him into an unbreakable turret, pulsing cold waves to convert pain into ammo for your launcher, unleashing a hail of missiles and keeping your shield going as long as there are enough enemies left to feed your cycle. I'll break down the keynotes, the gear that makes it tick, and the different ways you can shape the build, and most importantly, why it all works together. The core synergy of this build revolves around the Primal Surge node, which gives you a chance to recover ammo for your heavy ordnance weapons, but not grenades, and restore a portion of your shield every time you apply a status effect. And oh boy, he has plenty of ways to spread those status procs. Aside from Primal Surge as the anchor point, we need 4 more nodes: Tail of the Comet, Bullet, Hail, and Blackout, all in the blue tree, plus Gut Punch from the red tree. Together with the augment Cryonic Thruum, these form the complete synergy loop. Cryonic Thruum is the catalyst that multiplies your status spreading potential and allows you to stand in the thick of the fight and corrupt everything around you while topping you off. When you activate it, you create a large pulsing aura of cold ordnance damage. It spreads your debuffs, heals you and your team, and, while aiming, lets you trade movement speed for extra cold damage. Every shot also reduces your vengeance meter. The build works with any heavy ordnance, but rapid firing weapons are peak. They burn vengeance so fast that nothing breaks your shield, and you don't have to stop firing to vent. Tail of the Comet is where most of your damage comes from. It's insanely strong. After hitting something with ordnance damage, and just as a heads up, your pulsing aura, your forge waves, and every single shot from your heavy weapons all count as ordnance damage. You have a chance to create a cold damage over time effect. Here is the crazy part. This special cold dot actually scales with the damage of the shot that triggered it. At rank 5, it creates 13 ticks, each dealing around 20% of the original damage over 4 seconds. That's a total of 260% extra damage per trigger. With a 30% proc chance, this averages out to a multiplicative 78% damage increase, before even factoring in elemental interactions or status chance boosts. And it gets even better. This effect can double dip into your damage buffs. For example, take the Specialisation node that gives plus 30% damage done when your shields are full, or if you're using a cold weapon and you have a cold damage buff. That buff first stacks additively with things like gun damage, cold damage, and ordnance damage, increasing the base value the dot is calculated from. Then, after the dot value is set, the plus 30% applies again, boosting it a second time. Please, dear devs, don't nerf this, I love it. Because of this double calculation behavior, Tail of the Comet is also heavily influenced by elemental matchups. For instance, if you shoot with an acid weapon against shields, your base shot damage is halved. That means the resulting dot is also halved. And when that cold dot then hits the shield, it gets halved a second time. The reverse is true as well. If you match your element correctly with an enemy's health bar, shield, or armor type, the dot scales up enormously. The second synergy node we are going for is Blackout. This is more status, more crits, and also feeds into Primal Surge. First, all ordnance gets a plus 15% crit chance at rank 5. Rapid firing rockets miss weak spots a lot, and this helps offset that inaccuracy. Second, it creates a shock debuff based on the damage of your critical hits. This shock dot isn't as strong as Tail of the Comet. It's more of a utility tool. It shines mostly against shielded enemies, but it's less impactful in other situations. Still, it powers Primal Surge as another potential trigger, and with rapid firing heavy weapons, especially when you are landing headshots, you can rack up a lot of these procs. The third debuff is Gut Punch. This one will cripple everything around you. A hidden gem sitting in plain sight in the red calamity tree. It gives all melee attacks, and yes, all ordnance damage, a chance to apply a status effect that weakens enemies. That means plus 20% more damage dealt to them, but the real price is a minus 40% attack power. It slaps on every enemy caught inside your Cryonic Thruum aura and also onto that focus target of your launcher. Within seconds, they will be hitting like wet noodles to feed into Power Surge. Last but not least, we have Bullet Hail. This easy to overlook node is a powerhouse on its own. It gives every gunshot a chance to fire a frost shard at another enemy. And yes, Ordnance counts as guns, at least heavy weapon ordnance. Launchers, lasers and similar equipment will all produce shards. In testing, the shards don't register as ordnance on dummies and won't directly proc your status effects. But in real fights, they still seem to apply cold and shock dots. Whether that's just standard status build up or hidden procs that don't show up on dummies is unclear. Either way, they are contributing, and that's what matters. What makes Bullet Hail so valuable is how it frees you up to focus entirely on the boss. While you are unloading concentrated fire, the shards are quietly clearing out the room full of ads. And if you ever do slip up and kiss the ground, yes, even indestructible titans have bad days, the shards will already have weakened most of the trash mobs around the boss. A quick couple of salvos and you are right back on your feet. It's awesome. To sum it up, every rocket you fire and every Thruum pulse fuel the power surge, spreading cold, shock and weakness while shards clear the room, turning Amon into a walking missile battery that never runs dry. Well, unless you somehow miss the giant boss with all of your rockets. I have done it, not proud of it. So that's the core. Now let's look at how to actually build around it. On Vengeance Tier 1 we basically have 3 starting options. First, Wrath of Nature directly enhances the power of Tail of the Comet. On average it increases its damage by just under 30%. Second, the Scorched Kairos enhances all your ordnance damage by 30% when maxed and also boosts your ordnance ammo pool. And Battleborn increases your gun damage, and yes, heavy ordnance weapons count as guns. You should be aware of that by now. Up front, without any other damage buffs taken into consideration, Scorched Kairos pulls ahead, especially because the extra ammo pool is very valuable for this build. Remember, you only get unlimited ammo as long as you are landing hits. If you are missing shots and punching holes in the sky, this node can save your launcher from going on cooldown and give you a few extra shots to refill your ammo pool. However, if you add other buffs that stack additively with ordnance damage, Scorched Kairos starts to fall off. Once you are over 100% bonus damage, its relative contribution shrinks to less than 15% of total DPS, while Wrath of Nature remains a multiplicative boost to Comet's power. Battleborn comes last in priority. The bonus gun damage does apply to ordnance heavy weapons, but it's less impactful than the other two. Fittingly, it shares a name with Gearbox's other game, Battleborn, which, like this node, never really had much priority. A shame, I like that game. So to start, take Scorched Kairos. After that, put your next 5 points into Tail of the Comet, which is mandatory. Then max out Bullet Hail, another no-brainer. Follow up with Northern Wind, a prerequisite for Primal Surge. Depending on your class mod choice, you might be able to skip this, but we will get back to that later. Then take the obligatory points in Primal Surge and after that Blackout. From here we move into the Calamity tree. Grab either Heavy Plate or what burns within, depending on your preference. Though Heavy Plate is always reliable, that will let you reach Gut Punch. Technically 2 points in Gut Punch are enough to apply the weakness debuff, but 3 points give you more chances to trigger Primal Surge, so we go all in with 3 here. And that completes the base kit. After the base kit we still have 11 points left, and this is where we can evolve the build further. One thing we haven't tackled yet is shield uptime. By default the shield doesn't last very long, which means you will often be running around without it drawn, and that really undermines all the crazy status application and phase tanking potential of this setup. The node Warrior's Cup is 1/3 of the solution. It lets you regenerate a percentage of your shield duration every time you pop a rep kit. Maxing only this node will give you slightly longer uptime, but the question is whether that's worth the attack power you lose by not investing those points into damage. If you do go for shield duration, you need to commit fully. To get the most out of Warrior's Cup, you need one of 2 rep kit options that actually let you trigger it more than once while the shield is active. Normally, rep kits have a quirk. Bug or feature, take your pick, when your shield is up. They consume 2 charges. And if you only have 1 charge, the cooldown runs twice in a row. This makes it very difficult to trigger more than once during a single shield duration. There are 2 exceptions. The Order rep kit comes with 2 charges, and if you get lucky, you get one with a reduced cooldown of only 8 seconds. The regeneration effect also lasts 8 seconds. That means 8 seconds of regen plus 8 seconds cooldown. That's 16 seconds in total. This one can be triggered more than once per shield if you time it properly, significantly boosting uptime. Second is the legendary shield triple bypass, farmed from the Black Hive boss in the abandoned Auger mine in Dissected Plateau. It has a longer cooldown but comes with 3 charges and even has a chance to restore a charge on kill. Very effective here. Either way, you'll need one of these to make Warrior's Cup worth it. And to push it even further, you can use a class mod that enhances Warrior's Cup's rank. This option leans heavily into defense and you will end up sacrificing a lot of damage. It's a trade-off. Both paths are valid and you will have to decide which one fits your playstyle. The last parameter is rolling enhanced action skill duration on your class mod. And if you're deep into the aim and skill tree, you might be tempted by Eternal, but this node only increases skill duration by 20% compared to the almost 50% that can roll on your class mod. You can invest here, but in my testing, putting points into offensive nodes proved far more useful. Personally, I recommend skipping Eternal, but that choice is up to you. Our last 6 points should definitely go into damage enhancements. Ancient Ways is very strong if you are using cold weapons because it double dips. First boosting your cold weapon damage directly, then again enhancing the power of Tail of the Comet and Bullet Hail. If you are not running a cold weapon, Wrath of Nature is also highly competitive. Take one of these two depending on your loadout. One of the most important choices when it comes to your playstyle are the class mods. There are basically 3 clusters of class mods. The Icebringer mod can come with points and Tail of the Comet, amplifying your strongest damage node. It can also roll Wrath of Nature, another key node for this build. Overall, it's the most synergistic offensive choice. The Grenadier and Cyborg mods. If Grenadier rolls points in Gut Punch or Cyborg and Primal Surge, you can skip their prerequisite nodes and free up 5 points for offense elsewhere. Cyborg can also roll with Scorched Kairos, while Grenadier can come with bonus points in Blackout. The Guardian mod is a defensive route. If it rolls points into Warrior's Cup and you max it, a single rep kit use can restore your entire shield duration. Offensively, it doesn't bring much, but it's unmatched for sustain. Each of these mods can roll with or without action skill duration. And that single roll completely changes which of the 3 build paths you will end up on. Alright, let's talk about these. Depending on your class mod and whether you rolled duration, this setup branches into 3 flavors of build paths. First up, the Defensive Titan. If you got a Guardian mod with a duration roll and a few points in Warrior's Cup, you can push your shield uptime to crazy levels. The trade-off is obvious. You're giving up offense. But in return, you become a face tank that just refuses to go down. If you like standing in the thick of it while your missiles do the talking, this is your route. Next is the Missile Ravager. This is a pass for you when you didn't roll duration on your offensive mods and you don't feel like committing to the Guardian route. In this case, your shield uptime is short, so you treat it as situational, mostly for bosses. You skip Warrior's Cup, grab a damage-oriented rep kit and dump all the freed up points into offense. The playstyle here is aggressive and high damage, but every missed shot can ruin your ammo recovery, so you need to dodge and aim sharp. And finally, the Balanced Titan. This is what you get if you do roll duration on a non-Guardian mod. Or if your Guardian mod doesn't roll duration, but does give you great offensive stats. In that case, you still invest into Warrior's Cup for respectable uptime, but your offensive mod keeps your firepower strong. It's not the extreme tank of the defensive path, and it's not the Glass Cannon Ravager either. It's really the best of both worlds. Steady uptime, solid damage, and flexible play. So whichever path you take, it comes down to what your mods rolled and how you want to play. Full defense, all offense, or a balance in between. The specialization tree has plenty of strong options. Honestly, more good picks than you have slots. I'm still unlocking and testing some of these myself, but here are the standouts so far. First, the best defense. A flat plus 30% damage boost that double dips with Tail of the Comet, Bullet Hail and even the Shock Dot. Second, riddle you this. Plus 50% gun damage, which is easy to trigger with rapid firing launchers. Third, Full Spectrum Arsenal converts plus 50% gun damage into Ordnance damage. looks like an obvious pick if it stacks properly, though I still need more testing here. Fourth, Fragmentation Payload, extra Ordnance crit chance and crit damage, which pair perfectly with Blackout's shock crit synergy and multiply its output. And finally, Contamination, stacking status chance that skyrockets Comet damage while also feeding your shield and armor recovery. These 5 are the core I would go for. Personally, I lean offense for raw damage, but don't sleep on the defensive notes. They can be the difference between face tanking happily and getting caught when fire comes in from every direction and your shield isn't covering it all. Now that we have covered the general build, let's quickly run through the gear. In general, your 4 primary weapons don't matter much outside of finishing a kill when you are down or bridging the downtime if you misplayed so badly that your Ordnance went on cooldown, so really anything works. For the enhancement slot, as far as I know, the enhancement effect of the manufacturer doesn't apply to Ordnance here, so pick what suits your general weapons, it doesn't matter for the build. Shield is simple, pick the highest shield value you can find. Primal Surge doesn't work with armor, so it has to be an energy shield. Rep kit, we already covered this. Either take the Order rep kit with 2 charges and an 8-second cooldown, or the legendary one with 3 charges. For the Ordnance slot, here's where things get interesting. Slow firing, low armor weapons are risky. Just a few misfired shots can push them into cooldown. Only use them if they are really the best you currently have. On the other hand, something like a Gatling gun will almost never go on cooldown. These weapons will keep your vengeance bar empty and trigger dozens of shield restore procs. Hard to find a good one, but very synergistic with the build. For example, the legendary Streamer is a launcher that drops stationary projectiles that auto-fire, devastating with this build. Ultimately, the most important thing is matching the element to the right boss and taking the strongest weapon you can find. For example, MIRF launchers can devastate bosses, but the bouncing spheres destroy your shields in seconds if you're not careful. Huge damage, huge self-risk. Keep distance or your shield evaporates. Energy beam weapons that ramp up damage are extremely strong for bosses in general. They have great boss consistency. Always keep a kinetic option handy for those moments when boss resists your favored element. Best advice, play around with all the heavy Ordnance weapons. They are a lot of fun to experiment with. And last, let's look at Firmware Sets. The best choice depends heavily on your Ordnance, but 3 standouts rise to the top. First, and in my opinion the strongest, is bullets to spare. With a 3-piece bonus, a Gatling with a 180 round mag gets a 90% fire rate increase. Since this build has no other fire rate scaling, that multiplier is fully multiplicative. The result, it just shreds. Less impressive on low mag launchers, but Gatlings absolutely melt with it. Second, Deadeye. With 3 pieces, it's easy to stack crits up to plus 75% damage when using rapid fire or MIRF launchers. It most likely stacks additively with specialization crit damage, but even then the number is so high, it's still absurdly strong. For rapid fire or MIRF launchers, Deadeye is your go-to. Third, Gadget Ahoy. Its Ordnance damage bonus isn't flashy, but it's still a solid fallback if you don't have the others. And finally, High Caliber. This one is speculative. I hope you execute that thought experiment. If we ever find an Ordnance with strong homing properties that can hit the same target multiple times with the piercing 3-set effect, it could get really interesting. Haven't seen a weapon like that yet, but if you know one, drop it in the comments so we can chase that idea together. So how do you actually play this thing? The short version is see enemies, turn on your shield, then bring out the launcher. Always activate your shield before swapping to heavy Ordnance. Any other action stashes the weapon, and if your ammo wasn't fully restored at that moment, you risk triggering a cooldown. Once you are set, fire the launcher and let Cryonic Thruum pulse out cold, shock and weakness to keep the cycle going. Use your iron sights when you want more cold damage and to burn your vengeance meter. But zooming heavily blocks your vision, so release it when you need to reposition or get a sense of the battlefield. Positioning matters. Keep your back to a wall, so your shield can block incoming fire. If you're fully surrounded, the damage spikes fast. Monitor your ammo pool closely. Every hit feeds ammo and shield recovery, so don't hesitate to trade blows. But if your ammo drops low, play safe. Let the Frost Aura rebuild charges of nearby adds before firing risky shots or burning a rep kit. Against bosses, dump rockets directly while bullet hail shards clear adds. And if those shards leave enemies barely alive, all the better. They become easy revive targets if you mess up. When your vengeance bar fills and your weapon can't vent it quickly enough, swing a couple of forge waves. That vents the meta, restores your vision and resets the cracked shield blur that makes aiming difficult. On very low mag launchers, 3 shots or less, stick to 2-shot bursts. Always keep 1 round in the chamber so it can refill. The only real way to screw this build up is by whiffing too many shots or mistiming a rep kit, while your ammo recovery hasn't procced. The trick is learning to juggle your vengeance bar, your ammo pool, shield duration and rep kit timing. Don't overcap duration, but if you top it off close to 100%, you may get a chance to trigger it again. It takes practice, but if you enjoy complex playstyles, this build rewards you for mastering its rhythm. It's not a one-shot exploit gimmick, it's a system that rewards good gameplay. And once you get into the flow, it feels incredible. A short heads up before we finish. The sheer number of dots this build can generate with a rapid firing weapon is so extreme that it literally can break some bosses. The game engine will glitch out trying to keep up with all the damage over time calculations, so don't overdo it. Borderlands just isn't ready for that much power. That wraps up this guide. Everything here has been tested on Ultimate Vault Hunter level 5 and the build is more than ready to tackle endgame bosses. I hope you enjoyed this Rocket-Defiler-Titan breakdown. If you want more builds for Borderlands 4 or deep dive Soulframe content once Prelude 11 lands, consider subscribing or leaving a like to support the channel. Good luck farming!